So I'm excited for this one. It's the most American net you've ever seen in your life. We got some white oak, we got some black walnut, and smack dab in the middle of it, we have a greenback cutthroat trout. Let's jump into it. I spent way too long trying to think up what to do with the handle of this, which is the showcase part of the net. And finally it just hit me. So I'm gonna blend black walnut, oak, into something beautiful. Make sense? Hope so. I don't even know if it makes sense to me, but I'm gonna give it a shot.
According to my napkin sketch, I need a bunch of strips of walnut, which then magically transform back into a solid piece. This will make more sense shortly. Next, it's onto my trusty template system. I'll throw a link of how I made this in the upper corner. Now we jump into what has quickly become my favorite router in the shop. That is my Grizzly Pro 20-volt plunge router. Now this little fella is an absolute workhorse, and I will put a link to it in the description below. I've used the heck out of it for more than a year now, and for right around 150 bucks for the router, battery, and charger, I don't think you can find a better deal. I'm using a 1/2-inch pattern bit to creep up on the depth needed for my epoxy pour. Using the bearing to first follow the template, then I'll use that to reference the sides of the recess as it plunges further. The router does come with a really good dust collection port, but I'm lazy and I do love a good mess. With my walnut fingers dry, I mark out the design on the handle, and with a little bit of bandsaw persuasion and sander refinement, it's time for some glue.
Now, I mean, it looks like Wolverine's claws, and I can wholeheartedly say I don't expect this to work out. I mean, just look at that. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try and glue this together. It's probably just gonna end up a scrap heap, but whatever. Alright, this is a hot mess. You know, you gotta try stuff, right? I'm kind of proud of that. I mean, sorta.
A quick run through the planer and a touch up with the plunge router, and the handle is ready for some final shaping.
If you want to save some time when you're getting your steam box ready to go, add about 48 ounces or so of boiling water from your tea kettle to your steam box. It really cuts that down on the time it takes to get everything to temperature. Now, let's bend some strips. You've probably seen this steam box and my steam setup here in a whole bunch of my videos, and I'll put one of them right up here. But there's some little things you want to do when you're setting it up to just make sure you get the best steam possible. When I set up a steam box, I want to make sure that I have as many of the edges, the cracks, anything where the steam can exit, patched. So I have aluminum tape on the seams of my box here that helps kind of keep that steam in, keep that heat up. Now I also have it on a slight angle downward. So where the hatch, where the loading side of the steam box is, that helps ensure that the steam percolates all the way to the end and fills the box completely. Now there is a hole in the hatch side of it, so the downhill side, so steam, the built up moisture in there, will drip out and down and out the bottom. So make sure that you don't have anything below it that you cherish, because it will get really hot and steamy water on it. Other than that, it's just time and temperature. A lot of my older net builds, I would only do 22 to 25 minutes in the steam box for strips that are under 1/8 of an inch thick, but honestly, that creates a lot of heartache with broken hoops. So to save myself the trouble, I'm gonna do at least 30 minutes, maybe 35 in the steam box, and just really make sure these things are super pliable because I don't want to redo it. This is the part where I'm either really happy or really stressed. Mostly stressed.
While the oak strips are resting in the form, it's time to jump over and do the fish carving. Now, I had never heard of a greenback cutthroat trout before I was asked to throw one in the handle of the net, but come to find out it's Colorado's state fish, and it's native to the South Platte and Arkansas rivers of Colorado's Front Range Mountains. The greenback's range spans from the middle of Colorado north to south, where the mountains fan out to the prairie. And for this carving, I chose to use a hard figured maple. Because of its size, I wanted to make sure that the materials would hold up with the sharp details I wanted to add. I used my strong 202 micro motor for this carving, and I am really loving the detail that I get from the smaller handpiece and those tiny little bits. Final definition is done using my Colwood Detailer wood burner. I'll put a link in the description below. Using both the sharp knife style fine tip and a ball tip. Next, we'll just jump into the world's fastest paint job. I honestly wing it on all my paint jobs, looking at as many reference images as possible to basically guesstimate how to get the best end result. The nice thing about airbrushing is you use so little paint that it dries really fast, and you can switch colors very quickly. Just gotta clean between each step. All in all, this carving only took about 2 hours to paint. I just want to take a moment to thank you for watching and subscribing. It really does mean a lot, and I appreciate each and every one of you for taking the time out of your very busy day to sit back and build along with me. Now, if you have any idea for future projects for a nonprofit organization that might benefit from my work, let me know in the comments below. I do this for fun, and I really hope that it can help out in some way. So let's jump back into the build. With the carving done, it's time to turn back to the net, and I line up my template with the straight line on my table to ensure that nothing gets out of whack. A generous coating of Gorilla Glue and a ridiculous number of clamps means I have the makings of a net. The net is starting to take shape, and I use my overhead drum sander and bandsaw to smooth out and refine everything. Sanding the inner handle radius isn't always easy, and you want to make sure that you have a really good quality sanding drum on your spindle sander, or you'll risk burning that end grain. The final touch for shaping is routing the channel for the net basket, and I'll put a link in the description for the slot cutting bit that I'm using here. I have some pieces of fancy veneer around the shop, and I felt like I wanted to keep with that walnut theme. I epoxy my little trout in place and build up a hot glue dam around the area to allow that crystal clear epoxy that I pour in to cure above the level of the net. Then I can sand it down nice and flush later. And this is where things got really off the rails. You'll notice that in this shot, the void is empty. That's basically because I may have mixed up my ratios, And 4 days later, it still hadn't cured. That's when I determined it was time to pour it all out and start over. Now it's on to the desperate attempt to salvage all this work with a new layer of crystal clear epoxy, mixed properly this time.
So this has become a very big problem. I put my sealer coat on here and I noticed something was coming through. It's the original epoxy that didn't all drain out. It hasn't hardened, it probably won't harden until the next round of the dinosaurs. So this net is a fail, and while I completely rebuild this net from scratch, I'm gonna explain to you how I screwed up so you won't in the future. How did I screw up? Basically, it all comes down to my first epoxy pour. I did a wrong ratio and it will never set. That sucks because oak is a very porous wood. So I can actually, when I came out this morning, feel a weird sticky material. That is the epoxy literally leaching out of the pores of the wood, the fibers. Then around the epoxy itself, which the second layer turned out great, around it, it just keeps coming out. It gets pushed outward. So this one is screwed. That means all the painting, all the work.
Nice and clear.
So this is the best way I found to get a proper epoxy pour on a fish, because as you can see, the fish is obviously not flat on completely. So it has the possibility of air getting stuck underneath. You don't want bubbles. So what I'm doing here is elevating it. I have a pin stuck into the side of the fish, which I'll fill with that last pour to look like a spot. But I got it sitting here on an angle, got a 3/4 inch piece of material under it to prop it. I'm gonna do one pour like this, then I'm gonna flatten it out or angle it the other way, do another pour, make sure I have no bubbles whatsoever. So it has been days in this mold, and it's time to see what we can do. Nice.
The new handle was looking pretty darn sweet, and with a fresh carved, two-sided, painted greenback cutty set into the crystal clear epoxy and some hand-carved rocks in there, things are looking good. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. My next attempt at bending quickly turned into a hot mess with me breaking all the maple strips. Time for bend number 3 for this entire project. I'm on a roll. I set to ripping down and sanding a whole boatload of fresh, thin slices of maple strips, and I was right back in the old steam box in no time. This time, I basically doubled the amount of steam time to about 40 minutes, and it worked perfectly. The big takeaway here is actually a few things. 1, is always have a steam box that doesn't leak like a garden hose. 2, if you're deciding between 4 or 5 strips, always go with 5 thinner strips. And 3, give yourself plenty of time in the steam box and time after for the hoop in the form.
The net has set and everything's looking really good. We're gonna pull it out of the form and get on to the next step. Let's go.
At this point, it was rinse and repeat with the forming of the handle. You always want to start with the basic profile and then step back and see how you can add your own twist to it. With the bulk of the details done, like the coving around the hoop, it's now time to sand and soften all those edges. In many of my nets, I like to add a decorative edge about midway down the handle to help slim the profile, plus it feels good in the hand. The channel is routed in and I use my tiny clamps to secure the net basket for marking and drilling. The final step before a thorough sanding is adding the 10mm brass swivel to the end. I get asked a lot in the comments about where I get these swivels, so I will put a link in the descriptions to the one that I use the most. Final sanding goes like this: 150 grit, 220, 400, 600, 1500. And then to finish it off, I use a sandpaper that doesn't even technically have a grit. It's just really, really smooth. A quick cleaning and it's time for the Dally Ship and Shore sealer.
So it's time for a little bit of liquid magic. This is Dally Ship and Shore. It penetrates and seals and hardens inside. So let's take a close look right here. See what she does. Gorgeous. So I put a ton from the inside. I put a ton into each one of those holes. So I am just taking my little brush and going right around the entire hoop with a great big coating of that stuff. I'm just finishing the coat of Ship and Shore, and remember that these little rags that are saturated with it, it could possibly combust if it's in a tight space, like a garbage can. So I just set mine out on the garage floor in concrete and let it dry out. Then you're good. This will hang for the rest of the day and it'll harden that Ship and Shore inside the wood grain. Then I'm ready for finish.
Once the Dally's is set, I hit the whole thing again with the 1500 grit, and then I jump into 5 coats of glossy finish. I do sand between coats for the first few to knock down any unruly grain or remove any dust nibs that may have fallen onto the finish. I then add a black catch and release silicone net basket and it's all set. This net was a solid mix of stress, learning, and in the end, a gorgeous end result that was literally one of a kind, and it introduced me to a new subspecies of trout that I had never even heard of before. So thank you for coming along, liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing, and I'll catch you on the next one.